Hey guys, Vince here again with my 2006 STI. Um, kind of figured I might as well reshoot this because I did it yesterday, ended up being terrible. So here it goes. A lot of the questions that gets asked pretty often in the 2015 groups is how it's like switching from the WRX FA20 to the SCI platform, whether it's newer or older. I went older twice. I have this 2006 that you guys see right here, as well as my 2014. And I kind of want to just cover it from my own personal experience with the changes that you kind of experience, different things that you look out for, just overall overview of the switch. So let's go ahead and begin. So before starting this channel, I had a 2016 WRX white, and I'll overlay the different images of my car here on the screen. So it was definitely a sweet car. Enjoyed it a lot. I made a lot of mods on it. It was full bolt-ons on flex fuel, and it was Mikey tuned. So shout out to Mikey for doing a fucking awesome job on the tune on that car. I put about 43,000 miles on it in about the year and 3 months that I've had it. So I definitely drove it a lot, and I gained a lot of different experiences. Took that thing to Vegas, took it back, did not get stranded one bit. Also took it to Dallas plenty of times with my girlfriend, and I had a great time with that car. But a lot of people in the groups, whether it be on Naziok or Facebook, they want to make the change to an STI just because, you know, they want to have the latest and greatest, or just the top of the line Subaru. And I definitely had that itch. So I had different questions, and there wasn't really that many answers out there on the internet. So I figured, hey, you know, I'll go ahead and take the leap of faith and make the change. So the first thing that you kind of want to look out for is the interior quality. The interior quality on these older cars, 2014 and before, they're definitely not the greatest. Subaru really wasn't known at the time for great interiors, and then as their sporty models, they try to make it more popular. Of course, they had to upgrade their quality, and that's definitely what they did with the newer versions, like the one that I had, and it made huge leaps and bounds. So that in itself was a big jump, going from that model to this one that I have, whether I'm talking about this 2006 or 2014. So the plastics, you know, they're cheaper. I mean, 2006 was based on a Econo shitbox. The Impreza it has the same interior. I mean, different seats, different door cards, but you kind of just get the feel there. Whereas for the 2015, it was definitely nicer. You can tell where Subaru put more quality into it. Another thing was the different rattles and the noises that it makes. So Subarus were notorious for all the different noises it would make whenever you hit a bump. Different bumps that you would hit, you know, whenever you accelerate, close the doors, you'd hear all these rattles. So it was definitely a terrible time. This is definitely the case with this car, but the thing is, I didn't buy this car to have something that was super nice, that was luxurious, that didn't make any noises. You know, for fuck's sake, it's a sports car. It will have those sounds. It will ride rough, whether it's on stock suspension or coilovers, doesn't matter. So for me, that was definitely a justified change. Another thing that made me want to make the jump is having a more established platform. So as you guys know, the current gen STI, as the making of this video, and you know, WRX's 14 before, they had the EJ257 for the STIs, EJ255 for the WRXs. So of course, since the motor's been out, I mean, a lot of people knock on, cue Subaru joke, they knock on these cars because of ringland failure or spun bearings, but they cannot deny the fact that these cars, these motors have been in the market for a while. So the aftermarket potential is way, way greater than the FA20. So recently, I mean, as of making of this video, they just recently released a aftermarket high pressure fuel pump. So very recent. I think it's within like the last 2 or 3 weeks, which is crazy. But anyone wanting to make big power with the FA20 was limited by the fueling. So direct injected is great. You definitely don't have to upgrade, the fuel lines, the fuel rails, and the injectors, kind of like we have to do with these cars to get the capabilities to run E85. With the FA20, you just get the flex fuel sensor. If you want to go flex fuel, the tune, and an aftermarket fuel pump, and that's it. But the thing is they get limited with the high pressure fuel pump because on the FA20s previously you had to run like an E60 mixture. Otherwise, a high pressure fuel pump will start oscillating, and that's just not something that you want to do. You don't want to push your car hard and starve the engine from fuel, and if you do that, you're going to have a bad time. So only the big shops, big builds, they were the only ones really that were making big power on the FA20. I mean, Junior Barrios, he had, I think it was like 700 or 800 horsepower WRX, but that's dime in a dozen. That it's just not often that happens. I mean, you have to dump some crazy money just to make power on it. Whereas for the SCIs with the EJ257, and a lot of people are making 600, an average Joe, if you have enough money, obviously, you can make big power with the cars. That's definitely not the case with the FA20, and I just wanted something that will make that power. Another point is the transmission. So this is kind of overplayed in a lot of YouTube videos, but it is definitely a huge thing. Going from the WRX transmission to the STI transmission, which is obviously in this one. So with the WRX transmission, it's basically a 5-speed that they slapped a 6-speed into it. I think the transmission housing is about the same 2015 plus to the 2014 previous. They had to just have that. It has strengthened gears. So definitely the 6-speed is much better on the WRX 2015 plus compared to the previous gen. But a lot of people, they make the change to a SCI transmission, and it's tried and true. You can put 1,000 horsepower on a stock transmission. I mean, you have to upgrade the clutch, of course, but you can't really say that for a WRX transmission. You can't slap 1,000 horsepower on there, call it a day, and feel safe in your head. You just can't. So driving feel, it's great. I love it because I know that even if I, shift hard, launch it hard, the car's not going to break, the transmission's not going to break. A lot of people, whenever they keep their WRXs and they upgrade the motor, so on and so forth, try to put a big turbo on it, like a 5858 or 5862, they'll upgrade the transmission to an SCI one, and that speaks for itself. Like, you just don't want to dump a lot of money into your car and just have the transmission fail on you, and then you have to rebuild it. You might as well just do it right the first time. And that's one of the things that is easily overlooked for a lot of people modding their cars. Just don't cut any corners, just do it right the first time. One of the other points that has to be considered is just the maintenance whenever you go from the FA20 to the EJ257. So everyone kind of jokes around with ring lands and spun bearings, and that's definitely a serious issue that you want to consider when making the jump. My WRX, it was just routine maintenance, oil changes, pretty much, yeah, just oil changes and switching out the brake pads, so on and so forth. That's pretty much it. I didn't have to check the oil every single time I filled up, but going from the FA20 to the EJ257, you definitely have to do that. Just because the EJ257, it's common that it drinks oil. So you don't want to keep driving around with no oil and get spun bearing and then have to rebuild your motor. So that's definitely something that you have to consider. It is a big thing whenever your motor goes out. That's what happened with my 2014. So I've been driving this thing. But if you take care of it, it's going to take good care of you. But believe it or not, this car, it's built by all-wheel drive tuning. It has 70,000 miles. So if you have a shop and they know what they're doing, you don't have to worry about the motor going out. You just have to make sure you do your homework, that you're familiar with the platform, you ask around in the forum, and know what you're doing. That's pretty much it for this video. Hope you guys take something out of it. I'll probably do general walk around and kind of topics that people like to talk about in the Facebook groups. So make sure you like and subscribe. Can't believe I'm saying that.